Alright, for the penultimate topic in this crash course, we are going to learn how React works with HTTP. We are going to understand with an example how to make a GET request and how to make a POST request. Let's first start with the GET request. So to fetch the data, we need to have an API endpoint. For that, I will make use of JSON placeholder. As you can see here, it is basically a free fake API for testing and prototyping. I want to focus on fetching data in our React application and not creating an API endpoint. So head on to jasonplaceholder.ipcode.com. Now if you scroll down to the routes section, you can see the possible HTTP requests you can make use of. For this video, I will be making use of the get requests slash posts. So as you can see, this is a pretty much JSON file kind of a data that we'll be making use of and making a get request out of this. So let's head back to our VS Code and start the things. Initially, I would like to first create a file named postlist.js. As usual, let's start by exporting const post list equals the fat arrow, and for the JSX, let's return a h1 for now. And we would also want to change the component being called over here to post list. So now if I have a check at the browser, you'll be able to see we are rendering the post list component. Now let's first begin by importing the necessary hooks. Okay, so one hook that you all are familiar with is useState, right? What we're gonna look in the last lecture is useEffect. So both of them coming from React. Okay, so pretty much the imports, and now starting with your useState hook. Okay, so what are we gonna list? We're gonna take a list of posts, right? So post and set post, and over here I did tell you in the other lectures we're gonna have a initial variable or an initial parameter that we're gonna set to this particular variable. So it can be of any data type. For now, since it's a JSON, you already have seen over here that JSON comes up with this starting square braces, right? So what we're gonna do is head back here, we're gonna start like this. So initially it'll be an empty list. Okay, now let's say that I want to render or make use of the useEffect hook. So how do I go about doing that is, so useEffect takes two things, like your state takes two things, right? Post and set post, one being variable, one more being the dispatch function. Here in useEffect, the syntax is pretty much like this. So it takes a callback function, also a dependency. Okay, so this dependency is actually a state. Okay, please make a note. So dependency array is what it takes, which is a state. So what usually happens is you go about using useEffect for side effects. Okay, so side effects in the sense, whenever your state changes, the DOM re-renders. Okay, so now this state that we have over here can be this state. Why? Because we are making a change of state. Like initially what was the state? It was empty, but after a few amount of time, as soon as we make a get request, there is a change of state that happens as we are going to fill in or populate whatever is there over here. So we're going to get this data, right? We are going to do the get request. So obviously the state will change from empty to this content over here. So you want to render based on the state value getting changed. That is why we go about using use effect. So now this is one thing, but you can also give it like this. So here you're telling that I don't want any dependencies to be there. In this case, what happens is you're going to render the use effect, whatever is written within the use effect, only once, which will be at the initial time of the page load. Okay, so we did see two things. One is you have a state here. This state can be post, or you can leave it as it is. Okay, when you write post, any change that happens with the post, whatever is within the use effect will be called n number of times as the post keeps on changing. But if you go about using nothing, this effect happens only at the page load. Okay, two things, make a note of that as well. One, no dependency, so it's only for initial time page load. Okay, one more being array dependency, or you can say array or state dependency. Whenever the state changes, the component re-renders. Okay, two things. So now what we want to do is we want to fetch. Yeah, so what we'll do, we'll write fetch function. What is the URL? So they've given us this piece of URL, so let's copy it. So we'll write fetch over here, followed by, you know, fetch gets followed by your dot thens, right? So we'll write dot then. Initially, what is it? You have a response coming in, right? So you have response, get that to response dot JSON. Okay, JSON, and again followed by a dot then, wherein you have data, and this data we're gonna put it to whom? We're gonna put it within the set post. So you see there is a state change taking place here. Also we'll write a catch. Okay, what does catch offer you? It holds the error, right? So we'll tell just alert for now, alert error. This is done. Now we're pretty much good over here. Just to show you in the logs, what I'll do is, once this is done, I'll just log the post state. Let's see if this works. Okay, what does it say? Failed to execute JSON on response. I guess I missed the parenthesis which was necessary. Okay, so now I'll open the developer tools. As you can see, there's nothing as of now. Yeah, it's empty. The reason being is the effect of the state, right? You can't get it right away over here, is what I believe. So what we'll do is we'll put things over here. So we'll have post list, and okay, let's remove post list. We'll just do, okay, let's have post list back. I will put this change here, fragment, paste. Here I'll have the log. Okay, this should make sense now. Let's check. Yeah, now we are able to see, right? So you have initially 0, which is nothing in the list. Now all of a sudden all the 100 datas or the objects that were residing in the JSON, we were able to get it, right? So now I did teach you about list rendering, right? So how do you go about doing that now? Let's see. So let's do one thing. Let's remove this log, and let's say post list. Over here I will put a UL. Okay, within the UL, if you want to map or do list rendering, you know you have to have curly braces. What is the state? Post. How do you do it? Post dot map. You know map takes a function. Write the function. You know you'll have to return it. Let's return this, and you know it takes an iterator. Let's write itr over here. You could just actually what, return the itr. Yeah, this is one way of doing it. What's wrong? Objects are not valid. Okay, so now what mistake did I do? I just took away the object which we were able to see earlier. Okay, the object, it cannot be iterated like this directly, so we need to catch the keys. So what I'll do is, you saw user ID was one of the keys, or you can just go here and see, have a look at the keys. So let's say I want to print only titles, so I'll go here and head back over here, paste, so itr dot title. Okay, now let's go to the browser, refresh, let's get rid of this. Yeah, you're able to see these are all the titles that are popping in. Okay, now this is your simple get that you're doing, right? You're fetching from this particular API. So here you can actually replace your Spring Boot services as well. So it's now here it's a public open API which has been there for prototyping or testing. So you can also go about using your Spring services here directly. Okay, so this is how you make get requests, and obviously rendering the stuffs, you're gonna use JSX, return the elements the way you want. If it's title, you go about title. Or also one more thing which we forgot was, is there the warning that we were looking at a long time back? Yes, we do have that warning still. So how do you get rid of that warning? So here what we'll do, we'll give a key, not to this, to this. So if I want to give key to this, let's say I make it a div, I give a key. What is the key? itr dot, I guess user ID was one key, so let's give that. Okay, user caps I. Okay, get head back here, refresh. Okay, okay, I guess user ID. Okay, no, user ID is not unique. You see, user ID is repeating, so we can't use it. What we'll have to use, we'll have to make use of ID. So let's make this ID. Now we'll refresh. You see, there's no warning, and you have all in there. Yeah, so that's pretty much your get request. Next we'll see how you could actually make the post request out of the placeholder. So let's go here, let's get back here, and for simplicity what I'll do is, let's go to guide, scroll down a bit, you will see, yes, so you have creating a resource, right? So here if you want to post something, what are they doing? They have a method for that fetch, and they have a body that is being sent. So what is the body? Whatever is the keys. So we did see that we had the keys of title, body, and user ID, right? So this is how you make post requests. So you will obviously have to send a body as you want to post something, right? So what we'll do is, we'll take this piece of code, we'll just copy this. Okay, get rid of this, head back, and should I make it over here? Let's do one thing, let's create one more file. Okay, let's do post. Okay, I should have named it get list and post list, never mind. Sorry. So post post list. Let's do one thing, let's rename this file that we have over here, let's rename this to get list. Okay, and make the necessary changes. Let's see if, okay, we just have one occurrence, so let's rename this to get list. Yeah, there shouldn't be any problem. Okay, in app.js we'll have to make change, so control D, get rid of this and get list. Now it should make sense. Refresh. Yeah, it's working the same. Let's rename this as well. So this is get list. Okay, I've refactored the code so that there's no confusion. So now we'll do post list. Okay, create a file, post list.js. again the same thing, export const post list equals, yeah. Now for the JSX part, let's keep it as it is. Before that, what we'll do is we'll import the necessary packages, so the hooks, sorry. So you have use state, you want use effect as well. Okay, now what is the state? Again, use state hook, where is it? Use state snippet, again we'll say post, we'll do set post, and this will be JSON or a list, and obviously you will have use effect. Yeah, let's remove these, and you know what are we supposed to do? We want to write fetch, right? Sorry. Okay, yeah, so fetch, what's the URL? We did see, okay, we have the whole code place, right? Let's just copy this, copy, and then go here, paste. So now that you're seeing is they've hard coded these values, right? You can go about doing that, but what is recommended is you have input fields like how we had for username, if you remember, right? For now, just I'll, so that error goes off. Let's say hi. Okay, post list, let's call post list in app.js. Sorry. Okay, let's remove this one, save post list. Okay, I don't need you. Okay, third is not defined, I haven't removed it. Okay, let's remove this. Hi should be visible. Okay, so now we are calling this, but for in order to post things, right? So if you want to post, you obviously need a button to trigger things. So what we'll do is we had done the form thing, right? Let's do one thing. We'll copy the piece of code that is written over here. Okay, copied, and here we'll paste them. Okay, so let's refactor some few things which is needed to be on top. I'll make the necessary changes as we go along. So let's remove this other return that we have. Let's also remove this piece of code. Now it should be pretty fine. Cool. Now, what are the things here? Title, body, and user ID, right? So what we'll do is we'll create states for them. So title, set title. So set title, it will be a string itself. So we'll just replicate these, and then you have body, set body, again it will be empty, and then last one being user id, set user id. Okay, this you can have a string or you can leave it as 0, anything, your choice. I'll leave it as string itself. So now what we can do is we can replace these. So what we're hard coded, we'll be filling in states. Okay, so these states will come in over here while we are posting. Okay, so now we'll have body over here, and then here it's user id. Cool. Now what is left to change over here? What do we have to do? We'll tell, okay, first let's name user id itself. So user id, this is same here. What should come? Our state should come, this particular state that we have on top, right? So user id is done, and this will change to whom? Set user id. So we have one particular label created. Let's replicate this. So we'll do this, control C, V. So once user ID is done, what is next? You have title. So just rename things. Okay. I hope things are clear because we've already done this in the username or the form filling time. So now here, last one, body. So once body is done, set body. Okay, here, body. Okay. Now what's the error? It is line number 11. Let's go to line 11. What's wrong here? Okay, he doesn't know who's the, okay, for now what we'll do is we'll just log console.log. Let's say we'll just log dollar title, and then colon, we'll say, okay, let's say user ID first. I'm just printing the states, okay? So title, colon, again a dollar, and you have the body. Okay, you're just logging it as you submit things. We're pretty much doing that. So I hope every piece of code should make sense now. Let's just go to the browser. So we have three input boxes. Let's go to the developer tools, refresh, everything's okay. As you can see, ID is going 101 because obviously we had 100 in that, and like the next one would be 101 for sure. So where am I logging it? It's here where it's getting logged. So as of now, I don't think this log is required. So let's remove that. And now what we'll do is we'll give the next ID, or you can give any ID. So let's go with 200. Title will be this, body, let's say this. And as soon as I click on submit, you're able to see that whatever text that I had hit in the input field, I'm going to send it somewhere, right? So this is how you kind of make post requests. So in your Spring service as well, if you just replace this piece of code with your service which has a post mapping, right? So you will be able to make post requests. Keep one thing in mind, that the keys that you're writing over here should match with the attributes that are given in the Spring in the entities. Okay. So if this doesn't match, the fields will be blank in the backend. So with that being said, this is how you make your get and post. For put and delete, it's pretty much the same. You can just change the method over here, and obviously for delete, you will need the body or at least the user ID, because you want to delete that particular what do you say, row or entity record. So, and even update, you will put here put. Okay, the method will be put for update, and delete itself. And again, you will send the ID or the body because you want to update something which is already existing, right? So that is pretty much how you can kind of do get, post, put, and delete. With this, we come to the end of the crash course basically, and also how you go about connecting things with your Spring. So I believe uh, it's pretty much evident or enough as to what you can start off with as your React journey. Yeah.